Hello, coffee people. My name is Irina Sharipova. I'm a coffee educator and consultant. I'm the host of the podcast Coffee Business in the Middle East, where we discuss about everything related to the coffee business in the Middle East region. I speak with the coffee leaders of the industry here, such as coffee shop owners, coffee trading companies, coffee owners, and coffee professionals. In the fifth episode, I speak with Kim Thompson, founder the Raw Coffee Company. We speak about the beginning of coffee industry in the UAE, how it was to be one of the first roastery, and how to raise a loyal staff. Hello, Kim.
Hi, Irina.
Welcome to the podcast,
Thank
Coffee
you.
Business in the Middle East.
Thank you for having me.
And let's start with the essential question.
Mm-hmm.
You are a pioneer in the coffee industry in Middle East, I guess. And I'm curious how you ended up in the coffee business. Nowadays, it's pretty common to have a coffee shop, but how come you started this business?
So I moved here with my family. We came for 5 years, a long time ago. We stayed a lot longer. And I used to be a nurse, but I had a family of daughters that we all used to sail a lot and camp at the camping ground at the Jebel Ali Sailing Club. And I eventually ran the cafe there, and I was unable to find good coffee. And everything was stale. It was all imported. There was no support for the maintenance of the coffee machine or anything. And then it was around the time that the Dubai Marina was built. And so the sailing club got demolished, and I was free. I had something to do, and running the cafe had given me some courage to try something new. And in New Zealand, it's really common to have owner-operated businesses that start off small, and the coffee culture in New Zealand's really amazing, even though we're a really small country of less than 3.5 million. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll do coffee. There's a gap in the market. And so it was just an idea. It was 2007, and I made humongous amounts of mistakes. The first roastery I built was in DIP, Dubai Investment Park, but it was before any of the roads had been fixed or roundabouts. And I was living in Arabian ranches, and it took me more than an hour to get there and back, and no one would have ever come to that roastery. And I had many hurdles and mistakes at the beginning. And this is the location I'm in now is the 5th location that we've had for the business, because we've sort of used our own money and outgrown each space, and when we were stretching at the seams, we'd build something else. But it was just a gap in the market.
Okay, so as I understood, you ran the cafe and you built up a roastery.
So I ran a cafe, and then the cafe was demolished with the club, and I wanted to do something, and I had the idea, because I hadn't been able to find good coffee for my cafe, that there was a gap in the market.
Okay, but you already know how coffee is supposed to be regarding quality.
No, if I look back, not at all. It was more that what was available here in Dubai wasn't as good as what I'd had in London or Melbourne or Wellington. And so I knew it could be better. And I thought there were a lot of potentially at that stage expats like me that might have been looking for the same thing.
Wow. And did you start to roast coffee, right? Yourself, or what was the team?
I originally brought up a consultant from New Zealand, a young guy who had been roasting at a place called Underground in Christchurch. And he and his wife came up and stayed with me for a while, but he didn't stay long enough to teach me how to roast. So we got the roaster, and it was before you had information available on the internet, and we just put coffee in a roaster and learnt how to do it through trial and error. We bought a commercial Vega 3-group machine and put it in our kitchen and hired a couple of young guys that didn't know anything about coffee either, and we all just learnt together.
Wow. You witnessed the coffee culture back then, but what was the trends? So you had the aim to roast coffee, right? To supply.
Yeah, it was all people would ask us at the beginning with Raw if it was Italian, because they associated Italian roasted coffee with quality. they were all drinking big venti American-sized cups, and you'd hear the machine go in the cafe. It would be really hot. Nothing about single origins. Most people added sugar. There was no. Everyone thought we were cheating them by giving them an 8-ounce cup because they didn't understand. But we didn't either at the beginning. It was a learning curve for us too.
Yeah, I think back then no one knew about specialty and there was no any specialty. No. How it appeared here in the market? In what year and who helped? I think you also helped the coffee culture to evolve here, but how it happened, like how it was switched to specialty, how it was like blowing in this market?
For us, I think it was more about developing a supply chain for ourselves. So going, like the first origin trip we had was to Ethiopia. We went to Yemen, we went to Colombia. We started going to places to find our own supply. And through that, the quality of the green beans was infinitely better than anything you couldn't buy anything locally. And we didn't really want to buy anything through any brokers. At the beginning, we knew we wanted to try and add value and respect how important that supply chain is. Direct trade.
Wow, you already started that buying. You still stick to this direct trade, as I know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think it's that's part of our strength and how we have been able to retain our position in the market as having a strong supply chain. And for many years, all we did was try to learn and get a good supply chain.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't think it went from nothing to specialty. I think what happened was it went from poor quality, stale, imported, to people traveling and drinking better quality in other places, and then coming back and not demanding, but they'd try it and they'd go, oh wow, actually I really like that. And it would only be, no one used to ask about roast levels or you know, what cup score. They might want to know what country it was, but most people were drinking coffee with milk. So it was more than 80% for many years was a flat white or a cappuccino or a latte. But it was an evolution gradually that happened. And then I think it's like anywhere in the world, the trends that happen here are the same as everywhere else. It's global trends that go in these waves, and you get these early adopters like raw, and then the market really grows. And I think now for a population, I think it's 10.2, our population in the UAE, there's something like 360 registered roasters.
Wow.
So it's wild, yeah.
Yeah, it is wild. Yeah, I'm curious, like, what happened? Yes, okay, people traveled a lot, tried some coffees, and they start to demand the good quality, of course. Of course it affected on your business, right? What were the challenges? You've seen, like, I need to buy a new roaster, I need to buy more beans. How it happened with this evolution of specialty, let's say?
I think for raw, I have a business partner, Matt, and for us, our biggest challenge was always organic growth, because as you grow, you need more money.
Yeah.
And even when we would get good customers, we would need to invest more money in stock and buy more machines and employ more staff to do training and equipment servicing. So even the good things that happened as we grew hurt, because it was always balancing cash flow. And you know, with coffee, it's, you know, you need to buy what you need. So it was balancing the money, and then we invested huge amounts of time and effort in training people. So if you're growing an industry and no one has the knowledge, and you recognize that you need that knowledge, it takes time.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't employ people because they had the skill. We'd employ people because they had the right personality. You know, that they were trustworthy, they were ambitious, they were loyal, they had great customer service. And here we're so lucky because we have all these different cultures.
Yeah.
And most of those cultures might drink coffee, but a lot of them don't.
Sure.
So it's growing an industry is not just about opening lots of cafes or the consumer. It's about having the right people that work in them that have the knowledge.
Yeah.
So we spend a lot of time on that, and that's fun, but it can be really challenging as well because a new business that comes along or a big multinational that wants to enter the market here and create a brand, they don't have the knowledge, so they have to find staff that have that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I used to take that really personally, that people had been with us for a long period of time and then they'd leave and compete against us. But now I'm just like, oh well, we're growing an industry in a region and we still have a very a strong business that you can't rely on an individual. You have to have strategies and be ready for things like that when they happen, because it's a transient country anyway.
True. That was actually I wanted to ask. So, Raw Company as a registered name, it was since 2007, right?
Yeah.
And you never changed the name.
No.
Yeah. So, what was the team back then? How many employees and how many you have now?
So from the cafe that I used to run at the Jebel Ali Sailing Club, I bought one of the chefs who was Nepalese. I bought one of the young dishwashers who, it was his first job, I think he was 17. And then through the young dishwasher, he knew a friend from India who he thought would be good to help us with the technical side of things. So there were 3 young men, and they all needed to get their driver's license and all that sort of thing. They needed to learn how to feel comfortable communicating with expats if they were going to be working with them. And then slowly we adopted we believed that if we let them recommend someone from their village, as long as it wasn't an immediate family member, that they would mentor them when they brought them here. They would help them find somewhere to live. They could enjoy the same food. They could act as a chaperone to help them. And they would only ever recommend someone that was going to be an asset to the company. So for the first, I think 6 or 7 years, that's how we employed all our team, was through recommendations from existing team members of someone that they thought would either bring a skill or have the right attitude that would be good for us. And then slowly as we actually couldn't afford to employ a lot of skilled people, so everybody had to learn to do everything within the company. My business partner won barista championships, and I went in the first barista competition here. Thank God. I got second, thank goodness, because it would have been I'm terrible on the stage. And I think we all had to learn to do everything. So I've been roasting today because we're creating some new blends for a commercial project. And, we all try and get in there and still do everything. But now we're kind of lucky because we can also employ people that bring really professional knowledge to certain areas that we need in the business. But at the beginning it wasn't like that for sure.
I can imagine. No knowledge, no people. Yeah.
I think
no connections.
so one of our oldest employees still works for us. He's been with us for 14 years. He's a technical, he's the head of the technical department. And we have a really amazing young man who's he works in customer service now. He's from Kenya. And he was one of the only people we were employed from an existing cafe that a regular customer said, you have to look at this guy. He's really good. He's great with customers. And our belief was we would prefer to bring people that had no coffee skill and teach them with a strong foundation the correct techniques and information, because coming from one of the big chains, it's very hard to unlearn what you've learned.
True. I agree with that point. Also, I'm curious, you mentioned already regarding some big companies which already appeared here in the market, like international brands.
Yes.
What did you feel back then when some strong brands started to uh, establish businesses? Did you feel like I want to give up because it's like I can't handle this international brand, or it's for you like a push, like to grow more?
Yeah, it's a
Were you
push.
afraid?
No, I think at the beginning it was naivety, and then it was, having invested your own money and time. It's like you're determined you're not going to fail. There's no way you're going to fail. So you have to always be really innovative, and a small owner operator can change and be dynamic. A big chain can't. They take forever. They're like a big tanker. They can't even turn in the ocean. It takes them forever.
Yeah.
So I think we travelled to. We listened to what was happening here, and we still do, but we don't get involved actually, because we look at what's going on out of here, because there's other trends that are ahead of here. And the bigger chains, unless they were roasting here, our one of our beliefs is that coffee should be fresh. So you should be using it within a, we would like to say a month of roasting. So a chain can't do that. I think competition is healthy. So a lot of the chains were adopting our language, and it could be confusing for a customer. But then if you put on a blindfold, we were always pretty confident that if you could drink the drinks side by side, that we were still in a strong position.
Yeah, great. So,
but with a very small marketing budget. So
yeah, I'm curious also regarding your image. What helped you to build up this strong, like, I can say that you have a name in the market, but what helped you to do so, like to be on the same level, even higher than this coffee shop chains, because there are a lot of them, but you're one. You have one.
Yeah, we're one.
Yes.
I think we're authentic. We were lucky that at the beginning we decided the niche we wanted to play in, and it was specialty. And I'm going to say something that's not going to be very popular, but I don't think specialty should be a cup score of 80 and above. I think it should be a cup score of 85 and above, because the difference between an 80 and an 85 is immense. And I think you have a lot of players here who are through cost-saving exercises or lack of knowledge, they're buying coffees that are 80s or 81s, they're not 85s. So it's too big a variable to play with. So I think for us, the reason we're lucky was that we are authentic. We're not copying a brand from Melbourne. We started something here. We spent those first 5 years on knowledge, and then having a really strong supply chain, and then we have the most beautiful people working with us. Really, really good people, and they're the ones who talk to the customers and deal with the customers all the time. They're the ones that do the training. They're the ones who service the equipment and do the customer service. So, it might be our business, and we're trying to instill really good values, but ultimately it's about the people you have working with you.
Exactly.
So I think, we can control that because we're one entity. If we were a big chain with multiple outlets, that becomes really hard. And for us, we never wanted to be an operator. We wanted to be a supplier. We wanted to be a roaster. We want to concentrate on sourcing the coffee and then controlling everything from that farm gate through to the customer experience.
Yeah, that's full traceability, and also it cut off lots of expenses, I guess.
Yeah, but it's ensuring that the money gets to the farmer, which is really important. And then I think it's sharing knowledge, because you can do that as well. If you see something amazing that in Colombia, you could tell somebody in Guatemala you saw something, probably if you try it, it might work, or it's not our job to tell farmers what to do or process, people how to process their coffee, for sure. But I think sometimes you can see things, particularly with the way the rural community lives. The families, the children, it might be water, it might be whatever we do with because we pay social premiums on our coffee. And something that we would love to see, I don't know, you might want to ask me, I'm diving into something else, but this is leading to something I care about, is I'd love to see more provenance in our industry, because I think, you know, there's a lot of imposters, there's a lot of really good marketing, and you don't really know who to believe. So I think it would be amazing if we could see a little bit more information on where value is added, and maybe what the farmer did earn for that coffee. That would be incredible.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of young women particularly, there's a lot of really conscious consumers that something like that would be incredibly powerful, you know, for everybody in the coffee industry.
Yeah, true. Yeah, not everyone is transparent, especially what I notice here, not living many years here, but anyway, I noticed that, maybe I'm wrong, but most of the people, business owners in coffee, they hide info. They hide where coffee comes from. They even do private label thing, which I also was surprised when I moved here. I was like, why? Why is this happening? What do you think? Why people started that, and how we can resolve this problem? Because I think if you're transparent, it will be better for everyone.
It will. I agree. I think if there is a small population with a lot of businesses vying for the same business, there is never going to be harmony, because everybody's going to badmouth or criticize the other business, because it's not in their best interest to have that strong, like, close industry. And it's not a close industry. It never has been. It wasn't from the beginning. So I think it's competitive, but it's not traceable. And we would love to see that happen, because I think there is a lot of facade.
Yeah.
And it's not doing anyone any good. It's not doing the producers at origin any good. You know, and the consumer is becoming more aware. And the consumer, I actually think that's one thing from COVID, you know, having nearly 3 years of challenges as a business owner, the consumer learned a lot in those 3 years, because they were making their own coffee a lot of the time. So they started learning about water, they started learning about grind size, and, you know, they could actually brew a coffee themselves at home, and then they know, oh, I'm spending that to make it at home. If I'm going to go to a cafe, I want that coffee to be good.
Yeah.
So I think that was actually one positive out of COVID.
Yeah, true. Because people want to know where this product
They had the time.
From. Yeah.
They had the time. They could go on the internet and learn techniques, because there were online classes. We were even doing barista training online. And you don't need a lot of expensive equipment. You just need you need a little grinder, and you can do it with an AeroPress or a V60 or something, and you can make a really good coffee.
Yeah, true. Do you think the coffee here is overpriced in the UAE?
I think there are many places that are factoring in to their cup of coffee their salaries and their rents and their overheads. And I think if you look in hotels and malls, it's crazy what people are charging for a cappuccino or a long black or something. But they're selling them.
Yeah. Because I think here it's one of the most expensive coffee in the world, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think it's interesting, because I think, you know, in Europe, in the UK, and in Melbourne, you can pay the same amount for a cup of coffee. But I think maybe the quality of milk will be better. You know, the full fat milk that's going into it for a flat white or something will be better. But yeah, definitely there is some craze. And also, when we're looking at specialty and you're looking at a single origin of beautiful coffee that's really high scoring, made very well, sometimes it's ridiculous what that cup is being sold for.
True. Coming to the question regarding your branch, you said you're authentic, you have only one branch. Have you ever thought to have few? Because nowadays what I hear, people want to take over not even the UAE, the whole Middle East, moreover, the whole world.
I think we had a strategy from the beginning that we wanted to be a supplier. We saw value in being a supplier. We also we get offered all the time locations, but to do that well, you need a lot of investment in people again, and we feel that the market is saturated. So we would like to concentrate on what we're good at. As we looked at what we could do to grow, it wasn't to open multiple locations. Although in COVID we did open another brand, and we opened a couple of cafes, which was an amazing exercise. One of them went really well, down at Skydive, and then another one, we didn't have control over the access for the entrance with security and things. So we decided to close it, which was disappointing, but it was actually a really good reminder why we didn't want to be an operator. And then during COVID, we also opened another company that is not coffee, but it's called Raw Beverage Trading. And we had been looking for really good drinking chocolate and a really good matcha and good ingredients to make smoothies and things that you need in a cafe, because we were looking for them for ourselves. And we didn't want anything that had added sugar. We didn't want anything that had, flavors. And so we found a company actually from New Zealand, and we started another distribution company for that. So that's now nearly 3 years old, and it's going really well. It's not like being an operator, but it was a dynamic change for us that made us realize we should have done it from the very beginning.
Yeah, interesting. I'm curious about business establishment. Okay, it happened with you in 2007. May I ask, did you have some savings or investor back then to open up a roastery? Because roastery, it costs a lot.
I think back then to open an LLC, you needed to have 300,000 dirhams in the bank. So my husband and I borrowed that money, and then we used that money as our operational investment at the beginning. We did a small roastery, and we were buying consolidated, coffee on pallets. We weren't even buying containers at the beginning. It was very slow. And we found a local, we bought in bags that we put stickers on. So everything was really simple at the beginning. Every time you move location, you spend a lot of money on fit outs and that type of thing. But I think, no, I've never had an investor, and we've gone, when we made money, we would put money back into the business. And when we sold coffee, we would save money so that we could buy more coffee. And it's been a slow organic growth, but we've got a very strong foundation. And I think through COVID, that strong foundation meant that we had money in the bank, because at that time we were looking at expansion. We'd been asked to go into Saudi, so we were looking at that because we knew that the market was really big and it was hungry for good coffee. But luckily we hadn't pressed the go button, and we had money, so we were able to use that money to survive for the next 3 years, keep all our staff, keep buying coffee, and the sales went from commercial, 80% to online, grew by 400%. So the wheels fell off trying to get coffee delivered and all that sort of thing, and fixing the website so that it could take the payments. But we survived, and I think we were lucky. We are cautious, because we are quite cautious. We're both not young. We feel a real sense of responsibility, not just to our team, but to the people we buy our green from, because we've been buying from many of the same producers and cooperatives and farmers for many years now. So, if we don't buy coffee from them in a time that they're already, really hurting, that would be a very sad thing to do.
Wow. But you don't buy any beans locally from here?
No.
Only direct
Nope.
trade?
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. I think only a few companies do that. Yeah. Was there anything that, not regret, like what was the biggest failure within this year?
So many. So many failures. Biggest failure. I think that changes each year because there's always something.
Yeah. Maybe something that you burn money out on, something that
Well, I
you
think during
actually
COVID,
didn't-
opening the creating a new brand and opening 2 cafes, that was quite an expensive failure. But I'm sure there were some other really big ones before that. It's just that I've got this capacity to forget the nasty things, to be able. I like to look forward and not look back. But yeah, we had many failures. I think losing the consultant at the beginning before he actually showed me how to roast was a really big failure. He went and joined Coffee Planet, so that was a nightmare. Each time I've lost one of the people in the team who I've invested time and energy and money into, and they've become part of the family, when they've left, that feels like a great big failure. But actually, give me a bit of time and I realised that that's just life. That's just what happens. From a business perspective, we are now part of an organisation here called Endeavour. I don't know if you've heard of them.
No.
But 6 years ago, we were selected in San Francisco, and it's a really amazing global SME accelerator program. So it helps emerging economies to have strong small businesses, because they know that small businesses employ a lot of people. They also help an economy to grow, and they tend to be viable, sustainable businesses. So we joined that 6 years ago, and that's actually been, I would have to say, probably they told us not to do that brand in COVID, but we didn't listen. But I think being part of Endeavour has meant that really in the last 6 years we haven't had any massive failures, because we have an advisory board of businessmen and women who are not, they have nothing to do with coffee, but they can look straight away at a balance sheet, or we go and we meet quarterly. Our next one's on Thursday, and we talk about where we're at, what our projects are, where our challenges are. They give advice. They have local business knowledge. They have knowledge on new laws that might be coming into place, new federal laws that we might not be aware of, with the Emiratization or tax and stuff like that. So they've helped us to, the beginning of the company was about coffee and knowledge and, learning to roast and learning to be a barista. And then really since then, we still care about that, because that's the core of the heart of our business. But we've spent a lot of time learning how to be good at running a business. So that's a small business owner. You have to be able to know about human relations. You have to know about training, empowering your people. You have to know about accounting. You need to learn about marketing. You need to know about logistics. So that's a lot to have to learn. And I'm not good at some things, but I have a business partner who's good at the things I'm not good at. So we've been very lucky, but we've actually spent a lot of time as mature adults learning how to run a business well, because we want this business to survive.
Yeah, that's a good match. Yeah, so you complete each other. Yeah, you are two only in the business, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Within this decade of your business, regarding loss as well, what was the most, the big loss for you, like money or people? So within this, let me explain, like you're doing business like 12 years or 13. Many years.
It's actually 16.
16, yes.
16 years.
More than 10.
Definitely people.
People.
I'm used to not having money when you have your own business.
Yeah.
You things cost more, they take longer, you've never got enough, so you've got to be clever and you've got to balance it all. So I'm used to the highs and lows of balancing cash flow. For me personally, it's the human element that's the big hurt for me.
Yes, definitely.
And I've had to work on that because that will continue for sure.
Yeah. Do you think it's like more emotional part of your personality?
Yeah, it's definitely. I don't know if you've ever done a personality profile on yourself, but we do them for any of the key people that are in the senior leadership team, and then anyone that we're looking at bringing in. And basically, you have a personality wheel, and there's no right or wrong personality. But there are certain people that are strong leaders, but they might not have those people skills. They might be all about production, but if they're going to upset your team or not give them the time to train or anything, it's a balance. So I think we have a very strong, very rounded leadership team of all the different personality types. But I recently did mine again after 12 years. And I thought I would have far more leadership skills now with everything I've learned, and I'm exactly the same. I'm very much a people. I care about the farmers. I care about the ethics. I care about communication and relationships, and it's my team, but it's customers. It's just, that's my personality.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, let's finish with loss and this part. Yes, I understand. It's just always interesting to learn about it as well because every person experiences different feelings and emotion. But you're doing business many years. It's interesting to know how you overcome these challenges. It's hard, and as you said, it's life. You just have to move on, right? Don't be sad.
I think you need to be open to learn all the time, because there's obviously, as we were just talking about before we started the podcast, that there's like with what you're doing, it's so important to have podcasts and the social media and the marketing. And when we started Raw, we didn't even have a website. There was no such thing as Instagram. I was useless with technology. So I think I've had to really learn how to keep up with everything that's going on. And there are new innovations with business. I mean, you think about, we were forced to use QR codes, whether people like it or not, during COVID. And, we now have new packaging because there's new material that you can use that's recycled plastic for the coffee packaging. There's dynamic QR codes, so you can go in, and we're looking at adding, a layer of provenance to our bags so you can see where the value's added. So we believe in all of this innovation and technology. I'm just not very... if the rest of the team can do it, I love it, but I would never be able to do it.
Yeah, okay. Good. Let's move on to investment. And I want to learn about, not how much, what was the biggest investment in your business within this many years? It was the machine, the people you hired, or maybe you paid, one payment was like crazy $1,000,000 dirhams.
We spent nearly 6 million dirhams building our latest roasting facility because we wanted somewhere that had more seats and we needed more office space. We wanted a walk-in cold storage for the green room. We needed a space for the cold brew. We have 4 roasters because we kind of, instead of getting really big equipment, we have parallel sizes, and when it was too much with 2 15 kilos, we got a 30 kilo to sit beside the 15. And I think it was we spent a lot of money on water because we were servicing all of the equipment ourselves that we were selling. We knew that the water was a real problem here, and we were not happy with any of the companies that were providing the water treatment because they had really pathetic customer service, and we felt we knew more about what they needed to be doing than they were, so we decided to build our own. So we spent a lot of money on water treatment, and then we wanted to be an SCA Premier training centre campus, so we had to be compliant for that. So yeah, we spend a lot of money on this fit out, and we thought it would last forever, and we're already looking not to move from where we are, but we're having to store coffee at DMCC because we've run out of storage, and we're looking for a couple of other warehouse facilities so that we can move some of the non-cafe related things to other warehouses.
Yeah. Wow. I've seen this water system which you have on the second floor, right? Like, do you source yourself or you source other clients?
So we were able to get one of the big companies that usually does the treatment systems in hotels and malls to customize a little mini system for us, and we have made also units that can sit under a counter for a cafe or someone at home, and then we give the water free to customers if they're taking the water for brewing their own coffee at home, or if they've got a rocket or something at home. But for sure we cannot stress highly enough how important water treatment is here with the high chloride levels.
Yeah, so you're having now the perfect water for your coffee.
Yep.
Yeah. Good.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Wow, fantastic. I also want to ask about roastery side. How much tons or kilo you roast? And do you supply internationally or locally?
Yeah. So we were roasting about, we're not huge, so we were roasting about 8 tonne a month during COVID. And then we had to build up again from that because, losing commercial customers and getting lots of domestic customers, it takes a lot of domestic customers to make up for some of your big customers. Some of our good customers were able to open again, but we tend to have a lot of customers that are owner operators, so a lot of them weren't able to open again. They closed after COVID. So we're building that up again now. I think we're back up to 7 tonne a month, which but we're working on a couple of projects that we have the capability to roast a lot more than we're roasting at the moment, and we have designed our roastery and our packing line, and we have the green beans ready to go. We actually have been doing a few projects lately where we're in the final stages, and we believe we're going to start doing some different supply of coffee. So it's still specialty, but it's areas in the business that we'd never played in before, with much bigger volume.
Wow.
And then we're also supplying a lot of now matcha and drinking chocolate and other things like that are not the coffee. That took it took longer than we thought to sell, but now we're actually quite busy with that side of the business as well.
Yeah, but 7 tons,
it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah,
it's okay. But we do export to Saudi. We do export to other MENA countries, and we're not looking to do more than that because I think that's enough.
Yeah. Could you please share something? How to sustain clients? Because what I noticed here, when you have a roastery, it's hard to retain them. What is your secret, or maybe you have contracts where everything is written?
We have supply contracts, but from the beginning, we've never given free equipment or leased equipment. And we force our customers to have good water solutions because otherwise the coffee's not going to taste any good. Yeah. I think it's customer service and supporting that customer with total solutions. So we try really hard. If we know who's supplying really good biodegradable cups, who's got the really nice not plastic straws, who's maybe there's good architects that we've worked with that we recommend. So we really try and either help the client fail fast, or we help them to survive and succeed and be better than their neighbours and their competitors. So we don't care if it can be in their brand. It doesn't have to be in raw packaging. And for years, no one ever wanted to say that they were taking our coffee because they didn't want to tell. That was their secret about who was their supplier. But we have lost customers. I think when some of our team have left and gone to another roastery, that will happen. But that's attrition, and we actually get quite a few that come back to us because there's a lot. The coffee is one thing, and we're not very sexy in that we're very consistent. So you can trust, you know, our supply and our freshness and our quality of roast. But I think consistency is a very underrated quality, particularly if you're an operator and a customer is looking for consistency, an end consumer is looking for consistency. But there's a lot of competition here. So if it's just down to pricing, then you will lose customers. But if a operator is looking for a strong partner, we're still a very good option for them to stay with. But you know, it depends how young they are. It depends what's new and flash. You know, it's life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you've seen how economic part has changed rapidly here in the UAE, right?
Yeah.
And it affected on your business as well.
Yes.
And some social changes. What was the most significant for your business?
Economically, I think that for us the biggest change would be that we were really well known and recognised as a market leader, and a lot of our consumer base has left because people were coming and going anyway here in the UAE. But then obviously COVID was, a lot of people went back to their home countries during that time. So I think it's the demographic move. I think it would have to also be all of the new businesses that are, it's noisy, there's all this distraction, and there's a lot of chatter with not a lot of substance, but a consumer doesn't know that.
Yeah.
But that's typical in an evolving market. So then you listen, you hear what's happening, and you concentrate on the things that are important and stay true to your values. And we didn't drop our prices. We were able to, we started strongly giving 50% payment at time of placing our order, giving the producers the opportunity to, you know, produce the coffee, process the coffee, and then paid the rest of the money before it was being shipped. So we were trying to listen to what was going on here, have faith that we were in a strong position and not to get too freaked about all the competition, and then give more focus to the supply side of our business. So looking at the producers and the farmers and strengthening those relationships, particularly as we couldn't travel there. So, you know, we had to rely on Zoom.
Yeah, I see.
And I think for us that was a really good play.
Yeah. Good. And what is your overview on coffee business currently? What is the situation?
It's saturated.
Right now? Saturated. Yeah. Everyone
it's
speaks about
saturated.
it.
I think there are a lot of businesses that must be having to reinvest money all the time. I think having the ability to source and draw down on small amounts of green coffee locally means that they're able to keep going for a bit longer. You know, there's so much competition for the operators that, you know, to have something that's competitive and viable against that neighbour that might be right beside them. You know, how do they do that? It must be very hard. And you know, it's trendy here, so there's new things opening, and if you're something that's amazing at the beginning of the year, how do you keep your customers from going to the next new place? So and that's, I don't think that's so common in other parts of the world, because you know, it's the cost to rent and fit out a cafe and start a new brand is so prohibitive to many places that you won't see a whole, like you look at a lane now, it's crazy, all the different outlets that each of it's not just Dubai, it's every single emirate, and specialty coffee is buzzing everywhere, and you only have to look at Beach Road, and you know, for us, we have this criteria where if someone comes to us and they're wanting coffee and we can see that they might have a dream but not much more, it would be like, well, have you found your location? And we have this list of things that we'll go through, and we'll go that this is not going to work. You're not going to make money. There's no parking. There's not enough. You can't sell, a couple of 100 cups of coffee a day. You're not going to be able to. It's not going to work.
Yeah, absolutely agree with
so
that.
we're not actually trying to make money from these people being a consultant. We want this industry to be strong and we want it to survive.
Absolutely. That's very conscious.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is right words.
Yeah.
And knowing that, of course, what we will see, like what will be the flip sides of that? Imagine nowadays how many coffee
the
shops
landlords will make money, the fit out companies will make money.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
I heard in one of the podcasts, there was a discussion about coffee business and they discussed like who is earning money from coffee. Landlords.
Yeah. Landlords.
Not us.
Landlords
not coffee
and
professionals,
fit-out
not
companies.
farmers.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe some social media consultants or influencers.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I do think a lot of the waves that we see happening are similar here to what we've seen in other parts of the world. But I think the cafe culture here, you've got to factor in it's not common to have alcohol. So people have time. Yes. And it's socially acceptable to be in cafes. So, it's very popular pastime to be in cafes. I get it. But, to be an operator and retain those clients and to have your own sustainable business model, it must be a nightmare.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
they're opening and closing very fast, which is really sad.
It is very sad. I always think about it like these people, they don't think like sustainable, Not even about the beans, but
No.
packages about people.
No.
People apply for a job and
Yeah. Well, I think it's a very small country if you have someone that doesn't pay their suppliers. It's a very small country if you have someone who doesn't pay their staff. So who's not a good operator because of the way they treat their staff or how they treat their suppliers, because it's people talk, and that's a sad part of this industry.
Yeah, it is what it is. We have it.
but
Yeah, we
there's
have to talk about it
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
At least everyone should know about it.
Well, I think there's a big drive now on ESG, environmental, social governance. I think that's something, if you've got values and you've got ethics, you treat people the right way and you pay people what they're, supposed to get paid, and you pay your suppliers and your farmers and everyone, hopefully that is going to attract a type of customer that cares about your values. And I think, again, somehow you do tend to attract your tribe.
Yeah.
And build that community.
Yeah, true. Also, the UAE is a mix of modern and traditional.
Yep.
How have you balanced these influences in your business regarding like offers, packages, the way you do business?
I think we are really proud to be a UAE business. Like it just evolved, it happened, and it was the right timing and the right place. And it's a fantastic place to be a woman. I do believe that. As we were saying together earlier, it's so safe.
It is.
And there's support there. And I remember going into the economic department for, 3 months, trying to get approval because at the time roasting wasn't so common, and it was either big businesses, not small ones like I wanted to be. So they wanted an environmental impact study done with the smoke emission from the roaster. And at that time I had a Probat roaster. That's what I started with. I now have coffee tool roasters. But Probat, couldn't give me any information. So for 3 months I was just going around in circles trying to get this impact study done. And then one day I just went in, because I'm paying rent already, I'm just not getting anything done. I just went in and started crying, and that it's like they see you coming, it's like, oh no, it's that crazy Western lady coming back and trying to get this done. But I think I love that it's modern here, and I love how fast it embraces growth and change. And I don't want to say that I'm old-fashioned, but I think I'm 60, so the things I value and the way I probably run a business are more in line with New Zealand and where I came from, and where it's more common to have small business owners. So it's the integrity, it's the relationships, it's not loaning money, it's paying your bills on time, and having money aside for gratuity, and all that sort of stuff that you're supposed to do. It's something that, I think it's because I'm older, I found that easier. I probably drive the Endeavour Advisory Board crazy, because we have been quite cautious. So I think we are actually quite traditional in the way we run our company, although we like being in a modern, dynamic, multicultural, vibrant city. Country.
Sounds fantastic. And you're doing great. Yeah, that's good. See,
I'm sure I'm still going to make mistakes, but I think, we're not too proud to, we involve our team now. We have a really amazing finance and treasury manager. We have an incredible creative director on our team now. We have great HR, and we've employed a couple of key people recently who are from Emirates, so they were cabin crew, but they've been trained really well. They really love travel. They really good with customer service. They speak lots of different languages, so they're the great additions to our company. They're young, and they know what young women are looking for, because we actually think that while there's a lot more male engagement, we're very interested in appealing to that younger female demographic because of their ethical values and their consciousness around health and socioeconomic, issues, because we care about that.
Wow, I am impressed, really. And quick question, we almost wrapping up. What would be your advice for someone who wants to open any coffee business here nowadays? Because you have a huge experience and you've done lots of mistakes. Of course, if you opened something right now, in which way you would think, and it will be the advice, of course, for people?
I think I would caution someone that wanted to open a coffee business now, because I think the timing is not right. I think it's a saturated market. Unless you had a really clever concept that was not here already, and I think most of the good concepts or ideas are here. I like to encourage people to start businesses, because particularly women, I think it's so much fun to have your own business and to be in control of things yourself. My advice would be to understand the industry, look at your competitors, look around and see who you think is doing a really good job, and try and identify why. Like, what are they doing that you like, that you as an individual would go to them over and above another place. I would look at doing a really good feasibility study or business plan that is looking at breaking everything down, because when you start a business on your own, it becomes very all-consuming, and you need support of your partner or your family, your friends. Not financially, never do anything with your family or your friends or your partner financially, but I think have their support and really do your homework before going into it, because a lot of really good small businesses don't make it. And that would be, and I read a lot. I've read a lot of books. I read all the time. And if I meet someone like the guys from Katopi or something who are incredibly successful, I'll talk to them and I'll say, what are you reading at the moment? And then I'll find out what they're reading, and I'll go and buy it and I'll read it. And every single successful business owner I know reads a lot about how to be better, how to be a healthier version of themselves. You know, they're into meditation, physically, they're really into diet and exercise. And I think, you know, I'm probably healthier now than I was 10 years ago, because you have to be if you're running a business.
Sure. It is connected.
Yeah.
Mental health.
And mental health. Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Wow.
And
That's
a balance
beautiful.
between life and
Absolutely,
work, which is really hard.
Yeah.
But we all strive for that.
Wow, that's beautiful words. And the last thing for today is just your self-promo. You got something for us, for our audience,
Yes.
to give away.
Yes, I have. I'm going to.
Okay, so
this
that's
is
a beautiful
like
box.
a box, and it's a little. Here we go.
Looks
So it's
beautiful.
we created this blend last year to celebrate our 15-year anniversary, and our 15-year anniversary fell on the same time as the UAE's 51st.
Oh.
So it's a blend called 1551.
Wow.
It's a natural coffee from Burundi, and a geisha is in the blend. It's beautiful. And then this is I'm not hugely into the anaerobic and the special fermented, you know, crazy, amazing
Sounds
coffees, but
familiar.
this is a really nice one. This is a Colombian coffee that's been anaerobically fermented, and it's really, really beautiful. It's from Risolada. It's a treat. It's not something I would want to drink all the time, but it's very popular with our online consumers.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And just a little spoon and one of these little clamps, so that when you close it again, you can keep it safe.
Looks fantastic.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for doing this and sharing knowledge about the industry. I think it's really valuable.
Yes, I hope this information will be useful for the audience. And of course, we spoke about very important topics. Yeah, and I'm very glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Yes,
Marina.
you shared a lot, and I was waiting for this.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. It was really good.
Yes, thank you
Very
so much.
relaxed and comfortable to talk with you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And it was a podcast, Coffee Business in Middle East.
The best way to support our podcast is to subscribe to YouTube channel, Spotify, or Apple Podcast. If you want to participate in our giveaway, leave a comment with your feedback or insight from this episode, and stay tuned for the results on my Instagram. We appreciate your support, and don't forget to share this episode with your friends, colleagues, and fellow coffee enthusiasts. Thank you for the listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.